Alright guys, and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be giving you my Warlock leveling guide for Wrath of the Lich King. This video will be relevant for those people playing on fresh servers and people jumping straight into Northrend content. In this video we'll cover the 5 most important topics, so tips and tricks to speed up your leveling, the best talents and glyphs to get while leveling, the best playstyle options, weapon progression, which means caster weapons, offhands and wands to get, and lastly we'll finish off with a stat priority. If you end up liking the video guys, please consider subscribing to the channel. I'm trying to smash 100k subscribers by the end of the year, and subscribers get loads of great subscriber only content. You just have to go into my channel page and look at my subscriber only trailer. For instance, like the best 25 quests to get ready for Wrath of the Lich King. So first of all guys, there's 2 really good trinkets that you can get for leveling, the Ash Tongue Talisman of Shadows and the Airman's Ribbon of Gallantry. So first of all, why is the Ash Tongue Talisman so powerful? Well, when you'll see later in the playstyle section, you are using corruption a lot on multiple enemies, which means it has a really high chance to proc, to the point where it's going to be active constantly. So you'll have 220 spell power constantly. And the same goes for the Airman's Ribbon of Gallantry. Since you are killing mobs so frequently, again you're going to have an extra 80 spell power constantly. So that's a constant 300 extra spell power with these 2 trinkets combined. And the third tip guys is to never be full HP. You're going to have to get used to being about 80 to 100% HP, maximising your efficiency. There's no point having health draining abilities like Corruption and Drain Life going on if you are maximum health. Then you are wasting efficiency, you're wasting potential life taps, which is obviously potential mana. Remember that some pretty good trinkets from the Burn Crusade that are healing trinkets actually become DPS ones, so if you can't get the Ash Tongue one or the Airman's one, you can't bother, grinding that reputation to Exalted, fair enough. Remember that some of the healing trinkets are actually really nice. I put a really good example on the screen there, but there's other great ones out there. This one has 62 spell power because it's been converted from healing power. There's no such thing as healing power anymore, and it also has this really good MP5 effect. So if you're like me and my Warlock has been very unlucky with trinket drops, I've only been able to get the Badge 1 and the Dark Iron Smoking Pipe. This 62 spell power is definitely going to be a big boost over having 40. Remember guys, you should always be taking on multiple enemies. We'll talk more about this in the playstyle section, but as a Warlock, you really never need to be taking on one enemy at a time. Honestly, the second that you get your imp, you can be taking on 2 enemies at once. For a 6th tip, I'd recommend to spec Demonology for dungeons. Destruction is also nice if you prefer it, but looking at the Warlock Discord, it seems like most people are saying that Demonology is going to be the best for cleave DPS and AoE DPS, and therefore the best for dungeon clearing. Remember that you can use your pet as a distraction when you're completing certain quests, so you can get your pet to pull some aggro on certain enemies. You can go run around picking up certain quest items or completing certain quest objectives without having to kill the enemies. It normally saves a decent chunk of time. I'd also recommend getting the Necrosis add-on guys. It is very useful. There's a number of things you can do in it. You can summon all your demons from it, you can get your soul stones up, health stones, you can click the actual orb and it will have, you can decide what that spell that's going to do, whether it's like summoning people or using something like Ritual of Souls. It's just a nice little add-on to have on the screen that saves you a lot of time. It'll also track your soul shards, tell you of certain procs with certain sound effects, so yeah, it's pretty good. I'd also recommend preparing 25 quests for the Wrath of the Lich King launch. The best ones for this are normally daily quests if you've already completed loads of quests while leveling your Warlock in TBC. Again, if you go to my channel page and look at my sub trailer, in the description of that there will be a good quest list for that and a really good and fast route. My last tip is to check out the Rustic Speed leveling add-on guys. The people who made this add-on have been living in their basement now for months making this guide. It's made by the best world record holding speed levelers in the game, so I definitely recommend you to check it out. So guys, let's go through the talents. What I'd always recommend is a Drain Tank build when it comes to leveling. It provides insane damage, insane health regeneration, insane mana regeneration, to the point where you have absolutely no downtime and you become an unstoppable leveling machine. Now this build starts to become realistic at about level 24, when we can pick up 3 points into Fell Concentration. So until level 24, you can either spec into Affliction, or you can spec into Demonology. It really is up to you. For me personally, if I was playing a PvP server, I'd go Demonology until level 24, then respec to Drain Tank. If I was on a PvE server, I would just go in Affliction. So let me tell you what that looks like. So if you go in Demonology, you go Fell Synergy, 2 points improved Health Stone, 1 in Demonic Embrace, max out Demonic Brutality. This is really great for increasing the power of the Void Sacrifice, which doesn't actually kill the pet anymore, remember? And then that, combined with Soul Link, is going to be great on a PvP server for those 1v1 fights. Then you just get finish off Fell Vitality, Demonic Ages, and round about now you are going to be your level 24, so now we will respec to Affliction. Now, first of all, even when we're specking in Affliction, we definitely want to go for Fell Synergy. 15% of all of your damage gets converted to healing on the pet, and keeps your pet alive. But if you're a tier 5 geared Warlock and you already have the set bonus from tier 5, you can probably skip going for Fell Synergy, or get both of it and then it will stack. Then from here, I like to max out Suppression, just to ensure that I'm not missing my spells. I'm going to get 2 points in Agony, because that's a better DPS increase for point than getting it into Improved Corruption. Then you're going to max out Soul Siphon, Improved Life Tap, and then put 1 point in Improved Drain Soul, then start putting points into Fell Concentration, and now you can do the Drain tanking. Then you finish off Improved Drain Soul and get Amplify Curse. Amplify Curse is slightly different now in Wrath. It just reduces the global cooldown of your curses by 0.5 seconds, which is great. From here, I like to get Grim Reach and Nightfall, and then a cheeky point in Empowered Corruption. Definitely want Siphon Life. Siphon Life is now not a unique ability, its effect is combined into the Corruption ability. So all of the damage you deal with Corruption will heal you for 40% of the damage done. You can buff that further with a glyph that increases it by 25%, but you can get it in a pre-patch unfortunately, so we can't have it for Wrath launch. However, we can use Demon Armor, which obviously has great synergy with that because it's going to increase the amount of health that we get from Drain health effects. I like to put 1 point in Shadow Embrace. This does count as an Affliction effect, which will mean we'll get the extra 6% healing from Soul Siphon when we have Shadow Embrace, Corruption and Agony, but it's capped at 18% now, which means you can also put a Fear up to gain an extra 6% healing from it. Just bear that in mind. Then just to get us down the tree, I'm just going to put points in Empowered Corruption and also Improved Corruption. Just bear in mind that when you don't have spell power gear low level, then Empowered Corruption isn't going to be much benefit to you, so you probably just want to put points in Improved Corruption instead. Then from here, definitely going to max out Shadow Mastery and Contagion. Just flat damage increasing ability is going to get... I prefer to go for Improved Howl of Terror as soon as possible because I like having it as an instant cast. But then you also want Dark Pact, Malediction until you can get Unstable Affliction, and then we get Pandemic. When you get this talent Pandemic, this is when your dots start really pumping. Now from here you can go further down if you want to get things like Everlasting Affliction and Haunt, but I prefer to go for Soul Link as soon as I possibly can. You may want to continue speccing into Affliction to get the increased damage talent until you can get Soul Link. But you can get Soul Link at level 62 and that's when you definitely should be respecking to get Soul Link in my opinion. Then I'm going to get 3 points in Demonic Ages, and from here at level 65 I don't really want to get any more talents in the Demonology tree, to be honest. I'm just going to finish off with certain talents in the Affliction tree. So we can finish off Improved Corruption, Empowered Corruption, finish off getting Everlasting Affliction, and then at this point we should be, level 73, so when you're leveling level 70 to 80, you can just finish off getting points in the Affliction tree while you want. You can get them in the Demonology tree also, you might want to get Fell Domination just for the reduced cast time and stuff. Just one thing to bear in mind, like, you may think Unholy Power is really good and Mana Feed is really good, they're just not really needed. You're not really going to be using your pet that much, honestly, when you're high level, because you're just going to be running around dotting everything and just keeping your Void Walker on passive to sacrifice it from time to time. And Mana Feed, it's a great talent, but you just get so much mana you really don't need it, because you're just going to be gaining so much health that you can life tap infinitely. So Mana Feed just, it isn't in fact useful. So personally I'd rather just go for increased damage so I can kill the mobs faster. Now when it comes to glyphs, you're limited honestly what you can get before Wrath launch, what you can get in the pre-patch. But these are the best ones that you can really get. Glyph of the Healthstone, 30% extra healing on your Healthstone, and when you stack that with Improved Healthstone, that's 50% extra healing, so that's quite nice. Glyph of Corruption basically adds a Shadow Trance effect to Corruption. like the talent here, Nightfall. Now, it doesn't double the chance of it proccing, it roughly gets it to about 7.64% because it means you'll have 2 different chances occurring on every single tick. It's complicated, I don't really need to explain it, but basically it's going to increase the chance of Shadow Trance proccing. If you can get Glyph of Fear, also if you want, I'd probably quite like to have this one low level over Glyph of Corruption, because low level you will be using Fear a little bit more when you're trying to take on multiple enemies, and we don't want that Fear to break as often. And for minor glyphs, there isn't really that much you can get, but the Unending Breath one is quite nice for leveling because it's going to increase your swim speed when you're underwater. But guys, let's say you're leveling a Warlock in the future, you can get any glyph that you want. The best glyphs are going to be Glyph of Siphon Life and Quick Decay. So let's cover playstyle now, but let's start with all the basics. So the best in slot pets now for Wrath Lich King leveling is definitely going to be the Void Walker or the Fell Hunter. Now you're probably going to use the Void Walker low level, and then when the Fell Hunter is available you go to the Fell Hunter. However, when you've got really good gear, and when you're high level, you know, jumping into Northrend content, to be honest even jumping into TPC content, the playstyle largely is about running around dotting and just letting the mobs die while you're running around, and your pet doesn't really get much use, to be honest. So it's best just to have the Void Walker on passive and sacrifice it. It doesn't actually kill it, like I said before, so it's a great defensive boost. You may also want to go for the Imp as well, it's not that bad. When you have it talented and also have the Glyph of Imp, it's not too bad. He does pump quite a lot with his Fireball, and he has much more health and mana now in Wrath of the Lich King. Remember that Spellstones are actually much better now. They work a bit like a weapon oil, so you have them in your bag, you click it, apply it to your weapon, it's going to increase your dot damage, and either your Spell Haste or your Spell Crit, depending on which you prefer. My advice will be to go for Spell Haste, as your dots do now benefit from Haste, and having Haste low level is very, very good. And obviously remember to keep yourself Soulstoned. Get a weak aura to remind you that your Soulstone isn't currently up, because when you do die, because you are going to make mistakes, you will die from time to time, obviously just resurrecting there and then with a Soulstone is much faster than doing a Corpse Res. Now I've also put my Soul Shard farming macro on the screen there. What it does is it's automatically going to assist your pet, whether it's a Void Walker or whatever, and it will also automatically acquire a new target. So say for instance you're using Drained Soul, the target's kind of like getting very close to dying, and the target's going to die, and then you have to quickly click the new one. Well, with this macro you can just keep spamming it and it's just going to automatically keep targeting new enemies. I use this in the little ad phase on Kill Jaden and Sunwell Plateau, and I can get like 6 shards per pull, which is pretty nice just by quickly using Drained Soul on the little imps that spawn. So the playstyle is going to be different depending on whether you're low level or high level, obviously. What you want to be trying to do is taking on 2 to 3 enemies as much as you can and as soon as you can in your leveling journey. So this is what you want to do. On the first target you want to apply Curse of Agony and Corruption, and then get your pet to attack and then just leave it. Then on the second target you again use Curse of Agony and Corruption, but instead you face tank that one with Drain Life. If you haven't unlocked Drain Life yet or don't have a Fell Concentration talent at level 24, then you can just face tank it with a wand. Just bear in mind that you won't be able to do that every single pull because your health will get dropped down. Remember to go back to the first mob with Drained Soul to obviously get the 15% of your maximum mana returned to you, and then use it on the second mob also. And then, if you want, this is optional, when you're really trying to pump, you can also put a third target in a Fear and put it in Agony. Just be mindful that it might pull more enemies. When you become powerful enough, to be honest, you could probably be able to face tank 2 mobs without any issues. Now, like I said, this drain tanking strategy becomes available about level 24, where you can get the maxed out points in Fell Concentration. However, you can definitely take on 2 enemies at once, around about level 16, when you do unlock the Void Walker Sacrifice, because then you can get your Void Walker to attack 1 mob, put Agony on it, and then you attack a second mob, all your dots, and your wand, and then use your pet sacrifice. And then all of the dot damage on the second target and the first target is going to regenerate the healing of that Void Walker. But eventually, when you get powerful enough, when you get enough spell power, you get enough talents and enough abilities, the leveling experience becomes much, much faster and much easier. And all you have to do is run around dotting everything. Depending on what level you are, you really have to feel the waters of how many mobs you can deal with. I'm not going to tell you, oh, at this level you can deal with this many mobs, because it all depends on your skill as a player and your preferred playstyle. But my advice is always try and take on as many enemies as you possibly can. When you get to a point where your dots will finish off an enemy, like 2 dots, meaning corruption and agony, and that will guarantee killing an enemy, that is when you can start running around dotting everything. And then when you start to get hit by too many enemies, you can pop a Howl of Terror. We've got Instant Howl of Terror and the Affliction Tree to make it even easier. You're only really going to use that when you're in trouble though. You're going to use Void Sacrifice, Death Coil and Hellstone to stay alive. These are great healing abilities which are dramatically buffed in Wrath of the Lich King. We can obviously also use Shadow Bolts with our Shadow Trance procs since it makes the Shadow Bolt instant. And then remember to use Drain Soul to finish off your enemies to top up your mana. If you're doing like really big pulls, like when you're pulling like 5 to 10 enemies, you can very easily like use Drain Soul on 2 to 3 enemies at the end of the kind of kill phase to get like a big chunk of mana back. When it comes to weapon progression, guys, my friend Nick is making a huge behemoth weapon progression document, and it has absolutely everything on it. It has melee one-hands, shields, and obviously also has caster weapons all the way up until level 80, and also some really good offhand options. You know, these are from quests that you can get in the open world, so guaranteed actual loot, but then there's also, you know, dungeon options if you want to go for those kind of things. If you want access to the weapon progression list, just subscribe to the channel, go to my sub trailer, and it's in the description of that video. Now let's go through your start priority while leveling as a Warlock. Your biggest priority is to always get spell power as early as you possibly can. Low level spell power pieces are very, very impactful. What you can do, and what I definitely recommend for you to do, is to buy spell power greens off the auction house if you can. Remember that the mount cost is dramatically dropped in Wrath of the Lich King, so you can afford to buy some gear pieces from the auction house. But higher level, when you're in TBC and Northrend content, you start to get really good gear pieces from quest rewards, and the priority really is spell power, then haste, then crit for the biggest DPS increase. And then you also want to prioritize spirit after that, since with the fell armor ability, part of your spirit is actually gained as spell power. Anyway guys, that's where I'm going to end the video there. My name is MetaGoblin. Until the next video, ciao.